Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wild Sports Talk. I'm Loro Antonio alongside Justin Bosman and the Asian Skip Bayless, Isaiah Leung, on this fine Monday evening. And I'll tell you, fellas, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. I am doing awesome. We got the changes that we kind of expected from the Lakers on today. I mean, I expected it to go down today. I thought that once they were eliminated, it was just a matter of time until Vogel was dismissed. But I'm still buzzing over last night, man. I really am. I mean, how about my guy Austin Reeves? I mean, this guy, we've been hyping him up all season long, and in the last game of the season, a game that doesn't mean anything, everybody could just lay down and quit. This guy puts on one of the best performances I've seen in a while from a young player. 31-point triple double. It was just an insane game from start to finish. And I know we're going to talk about it in a bit, but got to recognize him, man. The baby goat, Austin Reeves, delivered last night. I'm so proud of him for all the hard work that he did and what he did last night. And I mean, I probably won't get over this feeling for at least another week.
And what about you, Justin? How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good
Oh,
because
yeah.
my team's doing good this year, the Celtics.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit here. But, anyways, let's first talk about the Lakers firing Frank Vogel after 3 seasons as the Lakers head coach, following a disappointing 33-49 season. As the Lakers, in their press release announcing Vogel's firing, stated that they need for a new voice as a reason for the move. Vogel spent 3 seasons as the Lakers head coach and amassed a 127-98 record and led the Lakers to the playoffs twice, including winning the 2020 NBA championship in his first season. And my thoughts on this, folks, is that I didn't think at all was really his fault. He was given an unhealthy Lakers roster, and I think that Frank Vogel was part of the blame for the Lakers and why they were so bad. And Rob Pelinka, I didn't think this was his fault too, but I also think that the Lakers' mess was partially on Frank Vogel. Isaiah, I'm going to go to first on you on this. My reaction was when Frank Vogel got fired, I was like, you should have given him one more chance because you need time to work with an old roster like that could help you win championships. But it didn't work out. So that's why the Lakers are heading into a new direction here, Isaiah. And am I happy about Frank Vogel being fired? Not necessarily. I think Frank Vogel's a great coach. I mean, knows how to take teams to the playoffs, and he's done that with Indiana and also with the Orlando Magic. I thought he was the next long-term head coach for the Lakers, but that's not the case there. So what was your instant reaction when the Lakers fired Frank Vogel? And who is more responsible for the Lakers' mess? And what is next for the Lakers at head coach?
We'll get into the next head coach for the Lakers in the topic after this one. But my reaction to Vogel getting fired was I am sad that he got fired because, like you, Laurel, I didn't think that he was the main reason why the Lakers didn't make the playoffs or didn't make the play-in tournament this year and finished 33-49. I don't think it was mostly his fault. He does have a little bit of blame as to why the team did bad as they did, but it was not all on him. I think he got scapegoated by this front office. I think he got scapegoated by Jeanie Buss and the Lakers franchise. And I honestly thought that it wasn't really fair to him. I think that he's a good coach. He's a good defensive coach. When he had the pieces in place, like your KCPs, like your Carusos, great defenders, great wing defenders, the Lakers were continuously one of the top 3 defensive teams in the NBA. So Vogel can coach the game of basketball. It's not like his coaching just magically disappeared this season after it's been so solid the last couple of years. So I don't really think that it was mostly on him. I do think he does have some sort of blame in this mess. And I'm really sad that to see him go, because I really wanted him to be the long-term head coach of the Lakers moving forward. I've wanted him to coach the Lakers ever since he got let go by the Pacers, and I really wanted him to come at that time to replace Byron Scott. Lakers hired Luke Walton instead. After Orlando fired him, and the Lakers were looking for a head coach, I wanted him at that point. The Lakers finally got him, and he won a championship, and I'm truly gracious to him for installing a hard-working, defensive-minded first culture in this team and in this organization. And it was honestly something that we've been missing as a franchise for the last 5, 6, 7 years because before Vogel got here, the Lakers were awful on the defensive side of the ball. So, he was able to coach up those veterans like LeBron, AD, and just put everything together and have that magical run in 2020. And, I'm gracious to him for that. He's always going to be a Laker for sure. But, honestly, Loro, I think it was time to part ways, just because, like I told you off air, the Lakers players quit on Vogel. It was just so obvious, especially in those final games down the stretch when they needed to come together and make magic happen. You could see it that the body language wasn't there. The body language was bad. Nobody was really listening to Vogel. The players were just playing for themselves. They weren't sharing the ball. They weren't moving the ball. They weren't playing together defensively. It seems like Westbrook never bought in. It seems like a lot of the players never bought in. I just think, like the Lakers press release said, it was time for a fresh voice and a fresh start in LA, because it just was so obvious that the players had tuned out Frank Vogel. And also, what I thought was really disrespectful, and I think Russell Westbrook, we're not going to talk about this tonight, but Russell Westbrook, I don't think he deserves to come back to the Los Angeles Lakers, especially after the comments that he made today, bashing Vogel publicly the way he did, saying, oh, I don't know why Vogel had an issue with me. Like, if you have issues with someone, you keep that in private, all right? You don't bring that in public and bash a man publicly just like that. So I think Westbrook pretty much wrote his own walking papers out of Los Angeles today. But I'm sad that Vogel got fired. I'm sad that, he brought us a championship, but I'm sad that he can't coach us anymore. But I think the guy that should have been more responsible for this mess, and the guy that should have been gone alongside Vogel, is Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka put this roster together. This guy messed up a championship core. The Lakers had this championship core with LeBron, AD, Kuzma, all those guys. But due to fan pressure, he goes out there last year, gets rid of a bunch of guys. Danny Green, who was very instrumental to the Lakers in 2020, brings in Montrezl Harrell, brings in Marc Gasol, when everybody could see in Toronto that he was washed up. And then this year, you're the general manager of the team. LeBron James is LeBron James. Yes. I know he's a great player and he's got a lot of power. But you don't have to listen to LeBron James all the time. You can say no to LeBron James. The Buddy Hield trade, looking back on it, would have made so much sense for the Lakers, because they have two guys. LeBron, who has the basketball in his hands, runs the offense. AD is in the post. What you need is a spot-up shooter, a guy that can shoot 40+% from three-point line. And that's Buddy Hield. And Pelinka should have said no, honestly. Pelinka should have said no. He should have said no to LeBron's demands. I don't care if it gets LeBron mad. You should have said no. He didn't do it. LeBron treated him, basically stepped over him like Allen Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue. And also Pelinka's roster building, especially in the back end of the roster, was awful. You know, the veterans that they got, Bazemore, Ellington, Ariza, DeAndre Jordan, like they didn't even play at the end. It was mostly the young guys like Reeves, Stanley Johnson, Wenyen Gabriel that were playing, especially late in the season when it mattered the most. So I thought Pelinka deserved more blame than Vogel. But Loro, Justin, you guys all know in the NBA, they're not going to fire the GM. They're going to go for the coach first, and then if you struggle again, then it's going to be the GM. But I don't think Vogel I think he should have gotten fired because I thought the players tuned him out, but I don't think he should have been just the only person that got fired. I thought Pelinka should have been gone today. And Jeannie Buss, this is the problem with Jeannie Buss. She's too attached to the past Lakers players, coaches, execs, all that stuff. The reason why she loves Rob Pelinka so much is because Rob Pelinka was Kobe Bryant's agent. And she dealt with him on numerous occasions, and she loved him because of that, and she won't fire him because of the personal connections. This is exactly why the Lakers are in the mess that they are, because they can't put the personal stuff away from the professional stuff. Pelinka should have no reason whatsoever to stay on. Makes no sense. He has messed up the roster back-to-back years. And also, Kurt Rambis should have no power whatsoever in the Lakers organization. This dude was a good player for the Lakers. Don't get me wrong. But what has he done as a coach or an executive to deserve a shadow president of basketball operations role? What has he done? He has done nothing. Minnesota fired him. I think Houston fired him. So many teams have fired him. Even the Knicks fired him, for goodness sake. It's just a mess. And it starts with Pelinka. It starts with Rambis. Those two guys should have been the main culprit. I think that Vogel, he got scapegoated unfairly. I hope he lands on his feet, and I know he will land on his feet. But the problem still exists in the building, and that is Pelinka and that is Rambis. And those two guys should have been fired as well today, not just Frank Vogel.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Isaiah, but I think that we're going to see a lot of major changes on the Lakers next season. And Justin, what was your instant reaction on the Lakers firing Frank Vogel?
I don't know why they didn't say it to his face, because like in his press conference, he was pissed off. Like the reporter asked him the question, and he was pissed off, Loro. And he's like, I don't know what these for or not. I forget what he said, but he was pissed. But I think there's going to be major changes to this Lakers lineup next year. Like Russell Westbrook's already. I heard rumors he might go to the Pacers or something like that.
Yep.
Trade wise, so I think he's gone like in the foreseeable future, and also I think they might trade Anthony Davis, or he might stay or go.
Anyways, John Alcorn says go Flakers, and I think that. I think that's a funny comment right there. But anyways, Isaiah, let me tell you my kind of who I want in the next Lakers head coach. I want someone that knows the team well. I want someone that knows offense, knows defense, knows how to deal with injuries, how to deal with the locker room and create a winning culture. But basically, I have three coaches in mind. One of them is Mark Jackson. He's obviously my first choice. My second choice would be Quinn Snyder if the Jazz ever let him go. I'm not sure if they will though, but I would be open to Quinn Snyder coming to the Lakers if the Jazz dismiss him. That's the only way I would hire him if I were Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. I think Quinn Snyder's a great defensive coach. He's created that in Utah, and if he does become the next head coach of the Lakers, I think he would do a tremendous job. And I think that Quinn Snyder will help the Lakers get back to playing championship caliber basketball. And my third option would be, I feel so bad for this guy because he only took the Grizzlies to a playoff appearance one time, and then he he was scapegoated by the New York Knicks, who I think has potential to be a fantastic head coach in the NBA. And he worked with Eric Spoelstra in Miami, and the Lakers could consider this in-house move, and that is David Fizdale. And I think David Fizdale has a good relationship with LeBron James, and I think that David Fizdale could, like I said, I think David Fizdale could be a great head coach. I just think that when he was in Memphis and with the Knicks, he was scapegoated, and he had a bad roster to work with, especially with the Knicks, and none of this was really his fault. Isaiah, I'm gonna go to first on you. If you would, you don't have to agree with what I said here about who I think should be the Lex Lakers head coach. I don't have a clear favorite right now, but I'm gonna start putting together a list of potential candidates for the job. And who do you think, in your eyes, if you had to choose one of the three I mentioned, should be the next head coach of the Lakers?
Well, if I have to choose on your list who I would want, it would probably be Quinn Snyder. And then I would probably go with Quinn Snyder because I want a different coaching staff next season. I just don't think that if you keep a guy from the previous coaching staff, you need a guy that's not afraid to be able to tell LeBron, hey, this is my team. I'm the coach. You're not the coach. You're the player. You got to listen to me. That's what you need from the head coach. You know, you can't have a guy that just LeBron James walks over. You can't have that. And I think Fizdale will be that kind of guy that LeBron James walks over. Unfortunately, Quinn Snyder, I think he would respect him more than Fizdale. And he also, Snyder was an assistant coach for the Lakers back in 2011 and 2012 under Mike Brown, I believe.
In 2011 with Mike Brown. That's Quinn Snyder.
Right. With Mike Brown, exactly. For me, you know, I got a couple of candidates, and the first one would probably not happen in 100,000 years, but I'm just gonna throw it out anyways because I've been clamoring for years, and that is Mike Krzyzewski. If I'm the Lakers right now, I go for Coach K, and here's why. I know Coach K just retired, but hear me out. LeBron James under contract for one more season. Next season, if he doesn't accept this extension from the Lakers, he's a free agent after next season. He can go wherever he wants. And he's talked about playing with Steph Curry. He's talked about playing with Devin Booker. He's talked about playing with his son potentially. LeBron James could potentially leave the Lakers after next season. So if LeBron leaves the Lakers, it's going to be all these young guys. It's going to be Wenyen Gabriel. It's going to be Mac McClung. It's going to be Austin Reeves. It's going to be the young guys that I mentioned earlier. So you need a coach that is able to go all in this season and invest in this season and have the veterans respect him, have the superstars respect him. And you need a coach that can go in there and help and get respect from the veterans and also be able to foster a championship culture. You need to go all in this season. Also, you need that coach to be able to not only be able to go all in this season, you need a coach that is able to develop the young players because that young players, that core of Reeves, Gabriel, McClung, all those young guys that I listed, they're going to be the core if LeBron James does in fact leave the Los Angeles Lakers following next season. You need a coach for now and you need a coach for the future. And I know Coach K just retired, but money talks. And if you give him like 2 years, $30 million, you know, you give him $15 million a year, you give him 2 years, $40 million. I don't think there's any way he can turn that down because that would be double what he was making at Duke University. And let's face it, the Lakers are a big brand. You know, they're like the Yankees, they're like the Cowboys, they're like the 49ers. There's some prestige to this brand. Being the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, there's prestige to that. And I know Coach K is 75, but he's a guy, if you give him LeBron and AD, you really think he's going to turn that down? Plus, if he's making $20 million a year, like that would be super hard for him to turn down because he would have a chance to win a championship next season. And also, he would be good because LeBron would respect him, AD would respect him, all the veterans would respect him, even Russell Westbrook, if he came back, he would respect him. He would also be good because Coach K is a great developer of young talent. And Reeves would be even better. McClung would be even better. Gabriel would be even better. Johnson would be even better under the tutelage of Coach K. I know it's probably like a 1 million to 1 chance that this happens. But if I'm LA, I'm at least giving him a phone call and see if he's interested or not. That's my first choice. And, I'm going to go with something that's like more realistic than Coach K probably is Juwan Howard from Michigan. Because same thing like I mentioned with Coach K. Coach K is a guy that LeBron would respect, AD would respect, all these guys would respect. Juwan Howard played with LeBron in Miami. LeBron loves Juwan Howard. LeBron would listen to Juwan Howard, which is one of the main reasons why I think that what I want in the next Lakers head coach. And also Juwan Howard, look what he's done in Michigan. He's developed really good players that are college kids. So it would fit the mode of guys that LeBron and AD would actually listen to. And it would also fit the mode of young players. And Juwan Howard could be the coach for now and also for the long haul if and when LeBron James does in fact decide to depart the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a major turning point for the Lakers. You have to get this hire right. You have to plan for this hire to be for the next 10 years. You cannot plan for this hire to be just for 2 years like you did with Frank Vogel. You have to have this head coach be able to lead you to a championship, and also you have to have this head coach be able to develop young talent and be able to lead you for life after LeBron James does in fact depart the LA Lakers.
Yeah, and anyways, Justin, who do you think should be the next head coach of the Lakers?
I could see if the Sixers lose the first round, I could see Doc Rivers being fired, and I could see him going to the Lakers. That's been rumors. And Nick Nurse could be a candidate too for the Lakers if the Raptors lose. And one of them is Juwan Howard. That's another candidate that I can see happening. But Doc Rivers is the likely candidate I see if they lose.
Juwan Howard's not really my first choice. I love Juwan Howard as a coach. I'd want him to stay at Michigan, but I want an experienced NBA coach that could help these players and all that. But with Juwan Howard, he has experience playing in the NBA, and like what Isaiah said, LeBron loves Juwan Howard, and he would listen to Juwan Howard, and that's definitely a possibility there. That's for sure. But anyways, staying on the Lakers topic here is that Austin Reeves had a 31-point triple-double, and Malik Monk, go absolutely bonkers down the stretch to help rally the Lakers to tie the Nuggets at the end of regulation, ultimately win the game in overtime, 146-141 in a crazy finish in the Mile High City. I think this was a great way for the Lakers to finish the season on a good note, but still, it costed Frank Vogel his job. And Isaiah, I could see you having your Austin Reeves T-shirt on. And my prediction on Austin Reeves is that the way he played this year because of injuries and all that, I think that Austin Reeves should be a permanent backup point guard on the Lakers rotation.
Here's my thoughts on this game. First of all, this is why you love basketball so much, because that game was probably the most insane game I've ever watched in my life in the last 3-4 years. Because, I was at work, wasn't a lot going on at work. So I turned on the game, was watching on my cell phone, and the Lakers were down 10 with about 3:50 left in the game. And I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to lose this game. They're going to lose 50 games this season. It's going to be an utter embarrassment. Vogel's going to be fired either after the game or on Monday. Pelinka might get fired. Who knows? There'll be a lot of changes. And then, I go back to work, help a couple customers, and then I look back on my phone 15 minutes later, and I'm fully anticipating that the game is over. The Lakers lose this basketball game, and then I look at my phone, and I'm like, and my jaw just drops. Honestly, my jaw just drops because I saw the score. It was 135 to 134. The Lakers had the lead. It was in overtime, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Legit, what just happened in this game? And I tuned in from that point on all the way until the end of the game. And I'll tell you what happened. This is what happened. The baby goat is what happened. Austin Reeves is what happened. This guy put the Lakers on his back, and he went, like Loro said in the intro to this topic, he went absolutely nuts, especially late in that game. Because I think everybody thought the Lakers were going to lose. But Austin Reeves said, no, we're not losing this game today. He puts the team on his back, and he just went off in that 3-minute mark all the way until from 3-minute mark all the way until the end of the ball game. I mean, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it in my life. For him to just go off, making every shot that he took late in that game, being tremendous on defense, especially that late steal that he got of the Nuggets player, and then driving it for the layup to help tie the game and send it to overtime. I mean, it was tremendous stuff. And let's not forget, Reeves is an undrafted free agent. He was not drafted. If this guy was a first-round pick, then it wouldn't really have that much luster to it. But Austin Reeves is an undrafted free agent, wasn't even going to make the team in summer league or in spring training camp. He comes in there, works his butt off, and, he is now at the point that he is. And I'm just really proud of him. I think last night he joined Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Magic Johnson, Lonzo Ball as having a triple-double as a rookie in a Lakers uniform. I mean, that's just really impressive stuff right there. 4 of those guys are legends and future Hall of Famers. And, you could see that. And we've been talking about Reeves on this show. And I've been saying, this kid is special. He's got the vision. If he can find his shot, if he can improve a little bit on that, he's going to be a great player in this league. He's already a great defensive player. And from what I saw last night with him putting the team on his back, it was just crazy. A crazy way to end the season. And, my takeaway from this is that, it was a crazy game. And Austin Reeves, I'm here to tell you folks, Austin Reeves is a superstar in the making. You could just see it with this kid. He might be the next Jimmy Butler, going undrafted, going nobody really cared about him in that draft class, and he just comes up, explodes onto the scene, and become the player that Butler is. You can see a great defensive player, got great vision, just like Butler, great player, hard-nosed type of player. He's the type of player that you want on your basketball team. And, he's a guy that, LA should definitely keep. You have to keep him next year. You cannot let him go off your team. And if I'm the Lakers next year, Malik Monk's got to stay, Reeves got to stay, Johnson's got to stay, Gabriel's got to stay. Keep all the young players. Because those young players, like I've been saying all season long, those young players have shown me time and time again this entire season that they want it, that they want to win. And they're not like the veterans who just slouch and don't really give effort. These guys give all-out effort, and you saw that last night, and it was accumulation of it. And, I was really proud of, not just Reeves, but, all the young players for the Lakers that just battled their butt off. But, Reeves, he's special, man. He is a really special player.
Anyways, with that being said, Justin, what was your thoughts on this Lakers win over the Nuggets?
It was a good win to end the season. And Isaiah was saying, Austin Reeves should get more, be in the rotation more. And he's going to be a superstar for years to come. And he was a steal in the draft, late round. I mean, undrafted, like he said. But I think he's going to be the starter next year for point guard or something, or a 6-man next year.
You could be right about that. But anyways, from one California team to another, as the Sacramento Kings have declined to bring back interim head coach Alvin Gentry and will conduct a lengthy and exhaustive coaching search this offseason. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Sacramento is expected to consider Warriors assistants Kenny Atkinson and Mike Brown, Bucks assistant Darvin Ham, and ex-Warriors coach Mark Jackson for their opening. If I were the Sacramento Kings,
Mark Jackson,
my choice to be the next head coach for the Sacramento Kings, I want to give it to a head coach that has a proven track record, such as coaching experience that could help them get into the playoffs. And I could see that being Warriors assistant coach Mike Brown. And Mike Brown was the coach for the Lakers. I thought that it didn't work out for him in LA, but I think Mike Brown would be a great coach for the Kings because he could work with Domantas Sabonis. He can make the Kings a defensive first team, and then hire a assistant coach that can run the offense for Mike Brown. And Isaiah, I'm going to let you go first on this. Who is your choice to be the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings? And what was your reaction about the Kings declining to bring back Alvin Gentry?
About the Gentry not getting retained, I was not surprised because I thought the Kings needed a guy that could develop young talent, that could set a winning culture, and that can implement a defensive first philosophy. And that's not Alvin Gentry. Alvin Gentry is a veteran coach who's been around the block for a while now. He's a guy that I feel like is best suited for coaching veteran talent better than coaching young talent. And he's an offensive first coach. And if you look at the places that he's been, New Orleans, Phoenix, etc., the defense is slack under him. And I think what the Kings needed was they just needed a coach that can implement a defensive first culture and a coach that can develop the young talent. And Loro, I like your choice of going with Mike Brown, like you said. But for me, I'm going to go with Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson needs to be the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings because, he fits the bill of what the Kings need, in my opinion. He's a guy that is developer of young talent. Look what he did with Golden State with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. He's a guy that can establish a winning culture, just like what he did with Golden State. And he's a guy that also he's a guy that is a defensive first coach. So he just makes too much sense for it not to happen. And also, fellas, Vivek Ranadive, who is the Kings owner, he was the Warriors minority owner when Golden State was being coached under Jackson. So it makes too much sense for it not to happen. I think Sacramento, they've gone with Jaeger, they've gone with other guys, Walton. They need a guy that can go defense first and a guy that can set a hard physical culture. And Mark Jackson just makes way too much sense for it not to happen.
What about you, Justin? What's your thoughts on who do you think the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings is?
Yeah, Isaiah. I was with Isaiah, Mark Jackson, because with the talent and everything. But my other choice would be probably Doc Rivers. If he gets fired by the Sixers, he could take that job. If they lose in the first round, I could see him taking that job.
That could happen, but we'll see. But anyways, Mavs superstar Luka Doncic hobbled off the court in the Mavs regular season finale with a calf injury. The Mavs says he has a left calf strain, and his availability for the Mavericks first round series will be determined at a later time. And my thoughts on this is that Luka's injury is unfortunate, but should he have played in the finale? No, because strange things happen in a regular season finale because you don't need to play basically your star players if you already clinched home court advantage for that game. In that situation, the Dallas Mavericks were the number 4 seed in the Western Conference, and I didn't think Luka should have played then. I would have saved him for the playoffs. What about you, Isaiah?
I think the Mavs are in trouble, honestly. because most likely they're gonna get a less than 100% healthy Luka Doncic for the first round of the playoffs. And let's face it, guys, the Jazz are not a slouch. They are a good defensive team, and you need a healthy Luka to be able to get past this team in the playoffs. I know they have Dinwiddie and they have all those other guys, but Luka is that main driving force, and he's the main engine of that ball club. And I just think that it was very careless what the Mavs did, putting Luka in that final game of the season when the Mavs really had nothing to play for anymore. I mean, they are a guy, or they are a team that everything was already clinched, everything was already set. We all knew that they were going to play the Jazz. They just really didn't have anything to play for. So for him to go in there and try to go for some records and to try to improve his average and try to play all the 82 games, it was just reckless. The regular season nowadays in the NBA don't really matter much. It's about the postseason. You need a fully healthy Luka to be ready to go in the postseason. Now you're not going to have that. So I thought it was very reckless and very careless by the Dallas Mavericks. Luka should not have played. Like you said, Loro, strange things happen. And it's not a given that you'll come out of a game unscathed. And unfortunately for Luka, that calf twisted, and then all of a sudden, now he's going to be injured entering that playoff series against the Jazz. So he should not have played whatsoever.
What about you, Justin? What's your thoughts on Luka Doncic playing through that calf injury that might have hurt him,
Yeah, it did. That was a dumb move by the Mavs coaching staff and management, and the GM, I think, was a part of that and stuff like that. But that's bad, and that will cost them in the playoffs not having him. So I see Spencer Dinwiddie having to carry the load for them if he's not back in time for those games. But if he is part time, I don't see them winning either into the Jazz. But you don't play a superstar player at the end of the season when you have nothing to play for. Like just sit them for the playoffs, because regular season you don't need anything. You're not playing for anything, and you just play the young guys or your bench players for some rest and stuff like that.
Anyways, with that being said here, and also half of the NBA playoff series was officially set in the East. The Bucks will play the Bulls. The Sixers will host the Raptors.
Celtics
while
now.
in the West, Warriors and Steph Curry will host Jokic and the Nuggets, and the Mavericks will play the Jazz. Which playoff series intrigues me the most? I'm actually going to go on this list off the list, because the matchup I'm looking forward to on Wednesday in one of the play-in games, I'm excited about Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks, because it's Trae Young versus LaMelo Ball, two of the brightest and best young and up-and-coming point guards in the league, going head-to-head in a play-in game. I'm looking forward to that, other than these upcoming playoff matchups, because this play-in tournament I fell in love with it since the bubble, and I think that the play-in tournament has proven to be a success, and I will always be and I am already a big fan of the play-in tournament, and I'm already in love with it. And Isaiah, which playoff series intrigues you the most on the list there?
Before I get into that, all I gotta say is this: John Alcorn's Cleveland Cavaliers, man, they were number 3. They were number 3. They were locked into a playoff spot, not like about a month and a half ago. And I went on air, I believe, and I was praising the Cavs. I was saying, Cleveland, I'm so proud of you and this and that. What a season. And the Cavs went from 3 all the way down to 7. And now if they lose to the Nets and they lose the other playing game to either the Hornets or the Hawks, they're not going to make the playoffs. So sorry about, jinxing your Cleveland Cavaliers, John. But in terms of the playoff series that I'm looking forward to, I probably would say, I think for the West, it's got to be Golden State and Denver, because I would not be shocked if Denver pulls the upset on Golden State. because you look at Denver and Golden State, two teams that love to play up-tempo basketball. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson on one end. For the Denver Nuggets, you got Big Jokic in the middle who's going to dominate because I don't trust Jokic or I don't trust Draymond Green or Kevon Looney to go toe-to-toe against Jokic. So it's going to be basically the battle of the outside versus the battle of the inside. And I think that's going to be a very fun series. And I can't wait to see it unfold. Like I said earlier, I would not be shocked whatsoever if Denver upsets Golden State because Denver, even though they're number 6, they still are a very potent and serious threat out of the West. And for the East, and I hope Callan McClurg doesn't see this, Bucks and Bulls. Because, I'm going to say this right now. Do not be shocked if the Bulls upset the Bucks. Because the Bucks just have not looked the same since they won that championship. And the Bulls, they got the talent. They got DeRozan. They got LaVine. They've got, Big Vucevic in the middle. They have other players, Wendell Carter, I believe, in the middle as well. I know Lonzo Ball's not there, but the Bulls got the offense. They got the defense. They got the grit. That's going to be a fun series, and I honestly think that's going to last 7 games.
That might last 7 games. You're right about that. But anyways, Justin, I'll go to you on this.
The Nets and Celtics is the best game for the East.
Which playoff series intrigues you the most here?
The Nets and Celtics when that happens. But if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna say the Bulls and Bucks, and also too the Sixers and Raptors, because that Sixers team can lose to the Raptors because they're inconsistent. The Sixers a lot of the time. And that Sixers team will be without some of their players because they're not vaccinated and stuff like that. So I have the Raptors winning that series.
Anyways, now we'll talk about Sixers coach Doc Rivers announced that Matisse Thybulle is ineligible to play in the Sixers-Raptors Game 3 and Game 4 in Toronto because he's not vaccinated. I'll start with you, Justin, on this. What's your thoughts on this?
He should have got vaccinated if he wanted to play. It's just like Jaylen Brown. That's why the Celtics wanted to win their game because Jaylen Brown's not vaccinated. It's the same thing with Kyrie and stuff like that. Just get vaccinated and then you can play overseas and then you could play the games. You know what I mean?
That could happen there. What about you, Isaiah? What's your thoughts on Matisse Thybulle not being eligible to play in Toronto for Games 3 and 4?
You reap what you sow. That is my thoughts on this. I thought it was, regardless of what your stance is on the vaccine, I'm not pressuring anyone to go get the vaccine, but you got to think about your teammates. You got to think about the organization that you play for. Matisse Thybulle is a big part of the Sixers and what the Sixers do. And I just think when you look at Thybulle missing those 2 games, those 2 games could potentially be series-changing games, and you're going to be out for it when your team needs you the most. So I thought that he should get the vax. It's been proven to be safe. I don't know what his reasoning is, but like I said earlier, it's going to be a big loss for the Sixers because he is a major contributor to that ball club, and not having him off the bench is going to be a big blow for them. So I just thought that he should have done it for the team.
Anyways, so that being said here, now we'll move on from the NBA to college basketball. The St. Peter's Peacocks are going to hire Wagner's Bashnar Mason as their next men's basketball coach to replace Shaheem Holloway, who departed for Seton Hall. Isaiah, what do you make of the move?
I like it. Because it shows that they are committed to going back to the postseason and trying to win it again. Or not trying to win it again, but pull more upsets. Because if they had hired a assistant coach and no coaching experience, then, they would kind of be in a rebuild. But they hired a guy that's been to the NCAA tournament multiple times, a guy that is a proven head coach. I like the move for the St. Peter Peacocks.
And what about you, Justin? What's your thoughts on that hire?
It's a good hire, but he's not going to be better than the original one because the original one, some of the players, I think, did they leave some of the players transferred?
Yeah, they
Yep.
might have.
Yeah, because so yeah,
Doug
so he
Eater transferred to Bryant, I believe,
yeah,
the star of that team.
yeah. So that would be a key loss for those players. I mean, for a coach coming in to get like mentality of winning to start.
All right, Joseph Carter says hi here, and
Yeah, that was a good hire though.
anyways, let's talk some baseball here before we call it a night here, as the Philadelphia
Please.
Phillies came all the way back from a 4-0 deficit to score 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th to stun the Mets 5-4 and improve to
Bills.
3-1. Isaiah, what's your thoughts on this Phillies team right now?
World Series.
The Philadelphia Phillies are true NL contenders. Been saying it since day one. The Philadelphia Phillies have a deep, deep lineup that you do not want to pitch to and you do not want to mess with. This Philadelphia Phillies team, you got that lineup. You got Schwarber at the top. You got Realmuto batting second. You have Hoskins batting third. Harper cleans it up. You got Castellanos hitting in the fifth hole. Then you have guys like Alec Bohm, Didi Gregorius, Matt Vierling in the bottom of the order that can really supplement these power hitters and these guys that are big time mashers at the top of the lineup or in the middle of the lineup. And let's not forget, folks, they're missing Mickey Moniak, who lit it up in spring training. So that's another piece that when he comes back, oh my God, that lineup is going to be absolutely out of this world. But the Philadelphia Phillies, no matter what deficit is against them, no deficit is too big for this team. And they showed today. They were down 4-0 in the 8th inning, and they weren't getting anything going. And the Philadelphia Phillies, all of a sudden, they string together a couple of hits. Realmuto hits the home run, and then all of a sudden it's 4-3. And then they get a base hit or they get a walk by Castellanos. And then I believe Bohm got a single, and then Hoskins get a double, and then Castellanos scores, and all of a sudden it's tie game. And then Didi comes around and he knocks a base hit into center field. And that's all of a sudden Phillies lead. So this lineup is super, super scary. This lineup is a lineup that nobody wants to mess with. Nobody wants to pitch to. And that bullpen for the Phillies, I'm telling you guys right now, it is much improved. Normally the Phillies, when they have a 1-run lead or when they're 1-run lead or 2-run lead, it's very scary, especially the past, because you knew that those guys could blow it. But now, Familia, Brad Hand, Corey Knebel, it looks good. The early returns look really good. And the only issue, though, for the Phils is that Alec Bohm really struggled tonight on defense, especially when the Mets were hitting ground ball after ground ball after ground ball to Alec Bohm. And there were a lot of plays where he just ail-mailed it, and he needs to really work on his defense. In fact, if I'm the Phillies, I would only have him as a DH because I really do not trust his defense on the field right now. And I'm also proud, though, of Alec Bohm, because Alec Bohm tonight, after he messed up a play or he did something, and the Philly fans sarcastically cheered on him after he made a play, and he was caught on camera saying, "I effing hate this play." He didn't hide from that comment. He actually manned up and said, "Yeah, I said it, and I did not mean it. My emotions got the best of me." You don't really see that from a young player. If they are caught saying something like that, they're either going to say, "Oh, I didn't say it," or "No comment," or "I plead the fifth," or any of that stuff. So for him to come up here and man up to it, I thought was very mature of it.
What about you, Justin? What is your overall takeaways on the Phillies coming all the way back 4-0 to the Mets?
It was a great comeback win for the Phillies, and it's a great start to the season this year for the Phillies. Only loss was to Isaiah's Oakland A's this season, and I believe what Isaiah was saying. They have one of the best lineups right now, and they can make the World Series this year because they have the talent to do it. And Joe Girardi's been coaching these guys right now for 5 games, and he's been doing good.
Anyways, with that being said, folks, now we'll talk about the Blue Jays blanking the New York Yankees 3-0. And Isaiah, I'm going to start with you on this. What was your overall thoughts and takeaways on this game here?
My thoughts and takeaways is that Aaron Judge might be in trouble. And what I mean by that is this: that contract that did not get done at the end of spring training, I think is really, really affecting him. Because when you look at his at-bats, especially over the weekend and especially against the Blue Jays tonight, it did not look like the typical Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge is trying too hard to prove that he's worth $300 to $400+ million that he wants to get on his next payday. And I think it's just really affecting his mind right now. You know, you could clearly see he's just over anxious. He's swinging wild. That's not who Aaron Judge is. And I think that, you know, the Yankees, if I'm the Yankees, if I'm Aaron Boone, I would honestly sit Judge for a game or two just to get him to clear his mind and relax because, you know, forget about the contract. Whatever happens now, that's what you need to focus on. You know, who cares about the contract? We'll get it done. We'll get it done in the offseason. But you need to focus on helping the team win now. And Aaron Judge is certainly not helping the Yankees win at this very moment.
Yeah, he's definitely not helping them out this moment here. But anyways, Justin, what's your thoughts on the Blue Jays blanking the Yankees 3-0 here?
Oh, I saw this game live, and I saw Bo Bichette's defensive play that helped win this game. It was like a close game. Like I think it was like guys on base and stuff like that. And he made a game set dive for the ball, and then got Stanton out. It was bases loaded when Stanton was up. And I think this Blue Jays team can make the World Series with what they're playing right now.
He definitely can. So, anyways, with that being said here, folks, it's been a great show. And, folks, well, it's time for some final thoughts to wrap up the night. So, anyways, sorry I was muted. I'll say it again. It's been a great show tonight. But, anyways, what my final thoughts is that I'm looking forward to when the Dodgers play the Twins tomorrow. Hope the Dodgers get back to 500 quickly. I think they will. And Isaiah, what are your thoughts on this? What's your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is that it was a tremendous show. You know, a lot of stuff that we had to get into tonight. I want to thank the fans for tuning in. I know John tuned in. And also, I believe we had Joseph Carter, my guy. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, as well as the many people who tuned in but did not comment. We really appreciate you guys. You know, looking forward to seeing who the next Lakers coach is. I'm really curious. Hopefully, you know, they get it turned around because I really want to see them win instead of this difficult season that they endured. And really happy for Austin Reeves putting the tape that he put out last night and that performance. It was just magical last night in Denver. And then the last final thought that I have is that make sure you guys tune in to Batter Up with myself and Loro and Ben and others on Sunday, because, you know, it's been a very great first two shows. The first show, we had over 100 views on Facebook. We had 30+ views on YouTube. So the turnout has been great. We really appreciate you guys, the fans, for tuning in to that show, even though, you know, it just started. And last night, it was great to see the turnout. It was great to see the amount of people that hopped on. It was great to see the comments. And, you know, we just want to continue it. And we all know that you guys love baseball as much as we do. So make sure you guys tune in and put out whatever comments that you guys have, and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it, and we'll have fun with it on the program.
What about you, Justin? What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is thanks for having me, and also too, the Phillies are for real. I like that comeback today, and I'm looking forward to the NBA playing game tomorrow. I mean today, or because it's my East Coast, but the Nets Cavs game is gonna be good. I think it's gonna be a close game, but it could go either way. And then the Warriors, I can't wait for those games on Sunday, or Saturday, whenever they play. But if the Nets beat the Cavs, they're gonna play my Celtics. I look forward to that game. Celtics Nets game. That's gonna be the biggest game. Kyrie Irving coming back to Boston, getting booed again. That's gonna be awesome. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then my Red Sox play again tomorrow. And baseball, I'm gonna watch all the baseball games this week. Look
Yeah.
forward to it.
Anyways, for that being said, for Justin, for Isaiah, Loro signing off for now. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you again Friday for a new episode of Wild Sports Talk.